We're back for my Week 10 NFL predictions. Last week in Week 9, I didn't do too bad. I went 9-4. My total record on the season is now 80-57, which isn't too bad. But starting out Week 10 with the Seahawks and Bucks 9:30 a.m. matchup in Munich, Germany. But I'm actually going to take the Bucks in this one. The Seahawks got a pretty big win last week against the Cardinals, but the Bucks also did. I had a really good feeling that Tom Brady was going to lead Tampa on a game-winning drive against the Rams, and they were able to do it. And I think that they get some progress from that. The Falcons lost on Thursday night against Carolina, so there's a wide open opportunity for the Bucks to take the NFC South, which I think that they would either way, even if they lost this game. But it just makes it easier for them if they can win and maybe even be able to rest their starters for the last couple weeks of the season. But moving on, we got Lions-Bears. Two young rebuilding teams, but I'm going to take the Bears in this one. The Lions offense was really looking good and promising at the start of the season, but it really has taken a turn since then. And for the Bears, they've just gone uphill from the start of the season. They have not stopped. Justin Fields is finally being used to his full ability. We saw what he was able to do last week against the Dolphins. And I think against this Lions defense, he's able to have a field day once again, no pun intended. And I do think that the Bears will win this game. Now for Vikings and Bills. This one is an interesting one because Josh Allen is still questionable for this game. He didn't participate basically all week in practice, so I'm leaning towards he doesn't play. But I'm going to take the Vikings. But if he does play, know that I'm switching my pick to the Bills. We don't know right now, but if he doesn't play, I think the Vikings will be able to win this game with Case Keenum starting at quarterback. But if he does play, I have a really good feeling that he will come out and lead the Bills to a win, considering they lost last week against the Jets. But moving on, Broncos-Titans, pretty easy pick. The Titans are going to win this game. They nearly pulled off the upset in overtime in Arrowhead on primetime against the Chiefs last week with Malik Willis starting at quarterback. It's looking like Tannehill is going to start this week. And the Broncos have not looked good all season long, and I don't think that that's going to change. Jaguars versus Chiefs, not too hard of a pick. I'm going to take the Chiefs. It's in Arrowhead, and this offense in Kansas City is way too dominant for this Jaguars defense to handle. Moving on, Browns versus Dolphins in Miami. The Dolphins are on a 3-game winning streak. The full preview on this game is going to be coming tomorrow night, but I think Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt should be able to have a day against that run defense. But I think Miami's offense has been rolling the past couple of weeks, and I think will be too much for the Browns to handle. But Myles Garrett, that is something that I'm very concerned about as a Dolphins fan. Protect Tua out there, please. But moving on, Texans versus Giants. The Giants' schedule is so easy. If the Giants do make the playoffs, I don't see how they can win a playoff game, but I'm taking them in this game. It's against the Texans. They've not proved anything this season other than that Dameon Pierce is their franchise running back, I guess. But I think the Giants really should have no problems winning this game, but they were able to put up some points against the Eagles last week and make it a bit of a tough matchup for them on Thursday night. But I do think that the Giants will be able to still win this game at home in MetLife. They shouldn't have a problem with it. Next up, Saints versus Steelers. We're at the point in the season where some of these games don't even matter anymore. These are two non-playoff teams, but I'm going to take the Saints. Andy Dalton has actually been looking pretty good out there for a guy who's a backup the past couple of years. But against the Steelers team who's not been looking good at all this season, I don't think the Saints should even have much trouble against the Steelers. And speaking of games that don't even matter anymore, the Colts and Raiders, two teams that are probably the most disappointing this year. The Raiders with three 17-point leads blown this season already. And the Colts have already benched Matt Ryan like midway into the season. So I'm going to take the Raiders in this one. I think there's no way that the Colts win this game. To me, there just isn't a way. But the Raiders do have their injuries now. Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow both going on IR. It's literally going to be up to Devontae Adams to save the season, and I think it may be too late. Cowboys versus Packers. I really wanted to take my upset of the week with the Packers here, but I just can't. They're on a 5-game losing streak. I think that they're bound for a win at some point, but it's not going to be this week. I'm going to take the Cowboys. I've talked about them before. I'm a really big fan of their team. I think that they can challenge the Eagles to even win the NFC East as we get later into the season. But I'm going to take the Cowboys. It makes a lot of sense to take Green Bay, but I just trust Dallas too much to win this game. And then Cardinals versus Rams, two teams that took very disappointing losses last week, and their seasons are really off track. Both of these teams have a need to win this game to get their season back on track. But I'm going to take the Cardinals. The Rams really didn't look good last week, and they still haven't. But the Cardinals just have looked better, and they've not been looking good either. Cliff Kingsbury is still somehow the head coach in Arizona. I don't know how that's even working out. But it's a game with not much reasoning. I just think that the Cardinals will be able to get it done. And on Sunday Night Football, the Chargers and 49ers. I'm not too sure if this is an upset, but it's in California, so I'm going to take the Chargers. Both teams are in California. I mean, the 49ers have the home field advantage, but I'm going to take the Chargers as an upset, at least I'm guessing. For me, it's just set up for an upset. It's on primetime. I think Herbert shows the world what he's made of, even though Tua is still better. No Keenan Allen once again, but that has been the story all season long, and the Chargers have still been able to get some wins out. I wouldn't be too surprised if the Niners won this game, but I'm going to take the Chargers as one of my upsets. And the other one, which is the biggest one of the week, Monday Night Football, Commanders-Eagles. Give me the Washington Commanders to win this game, giving the Eagles their first loss of the season. To me, it's not much of a game of reasoning. I think the Eagles are bound for a loss sooner or later, and I think it's going to happen here. Last week against the Texans on Thursday night, the Eagles didn't even play that well for a team that should be a Super Bowl contender, and the Commanders have been playing pretty well. They barely lost to the Vikings last week, who are 7-1 up to this point, and they were able to beat the Bucs the week before. And I really think that the Commanders have the capability to pull off the upset against the Eagles on primetime. But either way, that'll wrap up. I'm hoping that we're in for a good week of football. But we'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Peace.